Do you think that social media is impacting the life balance that people should be trying to maintain because of the feelings of validation and constant need to be honest which it has created?
Yeah, so look, I do think it has. And it touches on that thing of what I was saying before about living your best life. My biggest concern about social media is the amount of debt people are getting into by projecting their best life. If they can't afford to go somewhere, but they're still going there because they want to take that photo or that selfie or that picture of that plate of food. So for me, that's something that, and I see it a lot, and it's maybe that financial background that comes through, like people that have just bought a new car. That's actually a liability that you have to pay off for the next X amount of years. Did you buy that car because you really wanted that brand, or did you buy that?
Instagram moment?
Exactly. Or is it because you're trying to compete with your high school buddies that all have that car as well? You know what I mean?
But would we not say then that social media potentially has just enhanced the peer pressure that we were once under when we were probably younger? And now it's just taken it to a whole new level because it is that constant competing who's got the better social media profile.
100%. I mean, I think we went to high school together, right? So, yeah. And the first time I heard about Facebook, I think I was maybe in my second year of varsity. So we never grew up with social media. So I can't even relate to the kind of pressure that, you know, teens and young adolescents and young adults and stuff are experiencing today because of this. And it does. There's cyberbullying. There's all of those kind of impacts that social media can have as well. It's as great as it is that you can build a business. I always believe there's balance in life. As good as something is, there's an equal and opposite effect. And that effect, I think, comes through in this peer pressure that gets created and, you know, the image that you always have to be perfect. And you don't. You really don't always have to be perfect.
Because what is perfect? Exactly. Like, who can actually define what perfect is? I don't think there is a perfect person in this world. When we look at social media as well, and we speak about where do you see social media going, and where would you hope that it's going to go?
So look, I hope that the users become a lot more aware of the power of social media, and it's something that I talk about quite a bit, is this power of social media, because I do think there is so much power in it that you can start to build your personal brands. You can start up your own businesses. It can start creating more entrepreneurs, more small businesses. Here in South Africa, we've got a very high unemployment rate. That can start impacting a country in reducing the unemployment rate because there's more small businesses that have started, that have succeeded. So my first thing is to get the users to be more aware of it and to use it in a lot more of a positive way, not necessarily just the peer pressure side of it and posting your best life, but to use it in a way that influences good and it influences change. That's something that I'd love to see coming from it.
Okay, so speaking about where social media is going, if we look at the companies that have created these social media platforms that we use, do you feel that they're taking enough responsibility from the side of preventing fake news going out there? And also, how does one tell the difference between what is fake and what is not?
So look, for the companies that have obviously like the big platforms, your Facebooks, your Instagrams, those kind of things, I think we also need to realize that we've put a tool not in the hands of the company, we've put the tool in the hands of a user. So that's like me saying to you, how would you control 100 billion or 1 billion people doing the right thing? You know, sometimes you can't. I think that they have, with the influence that fake news has had and the impact that it has had, they've tried to do as much as possible. But I also think that us as users need to audit the information that we are consuming. Take a look at the link and see, is this a reputable website? Don't just share something once you've read it. Actually go and Google and see, is there other articles about this? Is this actually a valid site? Because as much as, yes, the person who posted it was wrong for creating the fake news, there's also the person that shared that post without taking responsibility or going and looking to see if it is a valid post and a true post. Just sharing it like that is also wrong. So there I think it's difficult and it's something that I think is going to impact us in the future in ways that we can't even possibly imagine at the moment. But it's something that we need to be aware of that exists, and also take ownership of the fact that before we hit that share button, you know, it's that thing of when you say something, make sure it's true, make sure it doesn't hurt anybody, make sure it does those kind of things. Before you hit share, realize you are possibly attaching your name to fake news.
I think that's some great tips, and I think it even needs to be extended to WhatsApp, because the voice notes that tend to go around, and people will, just keep sharing and forwarding voice notes, and then you hear on the news saying, we've heard this voice note going around, it's not actually true. Go onto their EWN is one of the news, and they will tell you, you have to look on there, and they will kind of highlight for you, is it true or is it not
100%.
true?
And also those voice notes, the other thing, I got one the other day, and it turned out that it was a voice note that it was something about the elections that we're going through at the moment, but it actually related to 5 years ago, to the previous election. So there you don't have a timestamp, you don't have a date stamp, you're just getting this voice note, and it's making sure that it's actually valid.
And when we say also about social media companies taking responsibility, one of the questions that we do have is that should there not be content validation for what gets uploaded? So for instance, there is the Japanese cartoon character that's going around, and it's causing kids to hurt themselves, and it has even resulted in somebody committing suicide already. Should that social media platform not have taken the responsibility to validate content that gets uploaded?
I think hindsight is always clearer vision. Like something like this, you would never have, I don't even know how people think about getting these things to happen. You know what I mean?
When you start the business, you're not thinking people are going to upload
and also when you start a business like this, I think a lot of people that are doing the social media or building these kind of platforms, they're thinking about the positive. They aren't necessarily thinking about how someone with a negative mindset or that's wanting to do something negative would use it. And I think we need to kind of think about that as well. Can we validate content, the amount of content that's getting posted on sites? Would it even be possible with the volumes of data that we have? Would we be able to use machine learning and artificial intelligence in the future to maybe start doing things like that? I think possibly. Whether we're there yet, maybe not. But I think there are tools and changes that are going to come with technology in the future that would be able to allow us to do this. I just think and with that situation specifically, I think there we also need to start looking at how old are the people that are on these kind of platforms. Like, should they even be on them at a very young age, or should there be restrictions on age limits and things like that, and just because of the impact that it can have on someone.
And that actually was going to be one of the questions we wanted to tackle today is, you get an age restriction on things like alcohol and cigarettes that you can't even go and buy it if you're under the age of 18, but yet we're putting social media platforms into the hands of 6-year-olds if they can use it on a cell phone. And we already there are creating a culture of, go for it. And it's an addiction, which has also resulted into many health challenges along depression, anxiety. So do you feel that there should be an age restriction on social media, and that it's something that we should, even if social media is not putting an age restriction on it, that it's something parents and teachers should be trying to influence from their perspective possibly?
I don't think that we would be able to ever, if a 10-year-old wants to do something, they're probably going to do it. They're going to find a way, and there's going to be that password that they figure out and stuff like that. But I think we as society and for parents out there, we need to be aware of the impact this can have. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday or the day before where they were saying their niece or their nephew was watching something on YouTube that was like a approved YouTube channel, or an approved kids thing, and the one character was bashing the other character over the head with a baseball bat. What does that actually teach our children? You know what I mean? And kids are young. The impression that they have when they see these videos and when they watch this, we don't necessarily know how they're going to translate that in their mind. Maybe because the cartoon character survived, they think, hey, a baseball bat's not going to do anything. Let me just go bonk Bobby on the head or something. But that's not reality. You know what I mean? So I think we need to be careful what we're exposing our children to, and also from a peer pressure point of view as well, to expose our children to that kind of level of pressure at a young age. I think it can be dangerous.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to the conversation around this YouTube channel and what happened with the kid watching with the baseball bat, because I've seen it in a very popular program that a lot of toddlers around about the age 2 and 3 have taken to, and the little brother in this program tends to throw tantrums, and you actually, at 2 and 3 years old, you don't want to be showing your child that you can throw tantrums. And my brother, who doesn't even have a kid, turned around and said to me, do you not think that there's a chance that your son is now realizing that every time that little character doesn't get his way, he throws a tantrum, so he's just going to do the same thing, because then 2 seconds later he gets his way? And I was like, I didn't think of it that way.
I've had the exact same conversation with a friend of mine who has a young boy, and he has actually started throwing tantrums, and the reason is because we're probably talking about the same show, and the reason is because that's exactly what he's been taught. He's been taught that when you throw a tantrum, you get what you want. Like, you know, that's not exactly what you want to teach a 2 to 4 year old. Like, exactly like you said. So even with that, like, you didn't realize that impact until someone else pointed it out to you and said, but do you realize what you're actually teaching your child? Like, there was a post that I'd seen on social media where it was a mother and a little kid, and they were sitting next to each other and they were both reading a book, and the post kind of read, well, how do you get your child to read a book? And it's, you know, your child learns by seeing. So if you're constantly on your phone, if you're constantly doing the social media vibe, they're going to constantly want to do the social media vibe. But if you put your phone away after 8 o'clock at night or do those kind of things, your child will also still then grow up with, you know, reading
healthy
books
habits.
and healthier habits and things like that as well.
And it relates to the old age quote of lead by example. So you lead by example in every role that you do, as a parent or as a colleague or as a manager, an entrepreneur. Let's talk algorithms. So it's a very popular word, it's trending quite a lot, and it has created a sense of invasion of privacy. You know, just last night I was sitting with a couple and they were saying to me on how he knows exactly what she's been looking at when they share the same laptop at home, because if she was Googling black shoes are appearing everywhere the next day when he's looking for something. So it's almost like you've got to restrict yourself with what you look at. You know, you could be at work and looking at something and then that happens. So is algorithms is it an invasion of privacy? Do you see it that way?
So I'm a digital marketer. So
That's a very difficult question for you.
yeah, no, it is. Look, as a person, I'm very aware of what I put on social media, because I know if I put my age, my race, my gender, whatever, it can start to be used for targeting in marketing and stuff, right? But also as a person, if I've just Googled black shoes, I'm obviously looking for black shoes. So don't I want to see all of the black shoes that I could possibly see? Okay. So then I think it's also just a thing of, look, I think we need to be aware of how marketers and marketing companies and how marketing works and how targeting works, because when I started getting into marketing, I was actually astounded by the amount of data that and how targeted your marketing can actually be because of the data that you've voluntarily put on social media. So I think we need to be aware of that, but we also need to take the stance of, well, I did just Google black shoes, so obviously I'm looking for black shoes. Is this not just trying to be useful? Which that's the way I kind of look at it. I think it also depends on what you're Googling sometimes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if it's a work computer, you might need to restrict what you were thinking.
Yeah, but then it's like, well, you shouldn't be Googling that on a work computer.
This is true.
So yeah, like for me, as a person, I do find it useful, but I am very aware of the detail that I put about myself on social media. Just because I don't necessarily think it's the best thing to share all of your personal data. And there's a lot of legislation that's starting to come in regarding how personal data starts getting used and how we can use that. So, yeah.